And Bonds hits one high. It's a deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bonds stands alone.
Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for 8. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining. And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
Yes. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Tap Room Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Stacks on Stacks Live. Joined as always with my man, Aaron Kidd. And we're joined by a very special guest, Mr. Bryan Power from Wager Talk. You can find him on Twitter at @BryanPower_wins, and that's Brian with a Y. And you know what we say about Brian's with a Y? I'm just joking.
They have lousy technology.
we don't say much. Sorry we were late. We had some technology issues, but that's okay because Brian is here. You can see him, you can hear him, and that is all that matters. So thank you for joining us, Brian. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day. I know it's late on the East Coast. Unlike AK and you, I'm over here on the West Coast, the best coast, the beautiful, fine weather. Y'all can keep your winters. I'll stay over here and enjoy it. But how are you guys doing tonight, man? How are both of you doing?
Jordan, I'm doing great, man. Pleasure being on as always with you on Friday nights, and glad to have my buddy BP with me. BP's a good friend of mine and one of the best handicappers I know. So glad to have him on and see what he's got to say. And I'm sure we're gonna find some winners tonight.
Brian, to be fair, Aaron says that about everybody.
Yeah, Aaron's a nice guy. Yeah, he'll put anybody over. No, but I'll take a compliment from anybody too. Look, it's just another Friday in paradise here. In addition to trying to find a way to talk to you fine gentlemen, that was tough. What was also tough is grinding out a nice 3-0 sweep on Friday. I mean, every single play was a grind. We had the Royals plus 1.5, had the Blue Jays, they won in extras. And then just completed in the NBA Finals, making it 4 for 4 for me in the finals. I had the Denver Nuggets team total over 107. The fact that I had to sweat that when they had 86 points after 3 quarters was not fun. But we cut it down to the wire. I'm here, 3-0, so I'm feeling pretty good. Time to talk some baseball.
Well, the Blue Jays lost, Brian.
I said I meant I had the Twins.
Oh, yes. Good. Nice.
I mean, I'm all messed up here. Yes, I had the Minnesota Twins. Yes.
Very good. I was all over the Twins
Against
too.
The Blue Jays.
Yeah, I was all over the Twins today. Love that play. Man, it's great to have you here. But NBA Finals, man, that was a Scott Foster master class there in the fourth quarter. He tried his hardest to keep the Heat in the game as best he could. Could not do it though at the end of the day, and like you losing Jokic, because I was on the over, Brian, and I told Aaron right when they posted the line at 210, I was like, man, that's a crazy adjustment from 216 to 210 in one game. Like I'm just gonna play the over blindly because of the move, and I after the third quarter I was like, oh, we're gonna get here, like this is easy, and then boom, Scott Foster inputs his whistle, and there we go.
Yeah. I would have, like, if you were playing the full game total, I agree. Over was the correct, I think was the correct handicap based on the adjustment that you just mentioned, Jordan. But, Miami, man, I think they're kind of reverting back to who they were in the regular season, right? Coming into tonight, it was 6 games out of the last 7 not scoring 103. It's obviously now 7 of the last 8. This was the lowest scoring team in the regular season in the entire NBA.
Yep.
Early call from me. I don't think this is going out on a limb. I think the NBA season ends Monday night.
I agree. I have a ticket on the Nuggets to win in 5, and I also have them 16-1 to win the NBA title. So looking good over here. In full transparency, I'm a Bucks fan, so watching them shoot 54% from three in that series was was a little tough to hang my hat on, but that's part of betting and that's part of sports. Crazy things happen. Bryan, every guest we have on, we like to ask them a simple question, because Aaron and I both agree baseball is probably the hardest grind of all sports to handicap, probably because the season's so long. What's the best advice from a handicapper that you can give like new bettors to the market when they bet baseball?
The best possible advice. I would stay away from big favorites. I'm just going to shoot some things out here because, that can get you in a lot of trouble. Obviously, if you, and I would not, if you're looking at a series, right, and you feel one way, like on the first game and you lose, I wouldn't deviate from that script in the second game. Like, unless if there's like, obviously there's like a substantial change in the starting pitching matchup. But, my number one thing, and it's something that I had to learn to do over time, is you don't want to play like big favorites because, even if you win 2 or 3 and you lose 1, you're not gaining a lot of money. So, that would be, I guess, something that a lot of people probably know, but I think people still are. I always see people taking teams over minus 160. It's a no in my opinion. Have a limit, stick to it.
Well, what if there's value on that?
Okay, like obviously early in the season, as a matter of fact, anyone who followed me knows that I was, I think steam chasing in April in Major League Baseball is one of the few times, along with bowl season in college football, where steam chasing is actually like a decent idea. And certainly, so they're in, because odds makers are playing catch up early in the season. So in April, I would say there's value when you can go over minus 160. I certainly did it. The Tampa Bay Rays were way undervalued, right? In the month of April, didn't matter what number the odds makers hung on, they were winning. So April, I guess, would be a caveat to what I said earlier. But once we get into the thick of summer here, odds makers, they've got these teams figured out. And I'm telling you, there's generally not a ton of value when teams are big favorites on the money line.
Great point. Because MLB's always been weird to me. Like last year around this time, like favorites were hitting like 64%. It was like incredible. Like it was like if you were betting dogs, you were losing every day. It didn't matter what your handicap was. And this year we're kind of seeing a little bit of adjustment here. Favorites are only hitting 59%, which still is like high, but it's not as high as last year.
Yeah, and again, like if you, I believe, because AK didn't, I believe we actually like texted about this at one point. Like in April, favorites were, I believe, like matching last year's record pace, but then it just plateaued. Like to my point, it does plateau over the course of the summer. So,
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, we were, Brian. We were actually talking about that. It almost just like the light switch flipped. It was almost like we went into May, and here we go. Now we're hounding the dogs. And to Jordan's point, to your point too, BP. With baseball, I have a pretty strict vig line of where I want to be. I don't really want to label on minus 135 on anything because, like you said, you play 3 games and you win 2. You really didn't make much, And so I try to stay away from that as well. And I was kind of looking at my record for the season last night, and I've got 6 pushes. And if anyone follows the show at all, I don't play a lot of over-unders in baseball, especially. I just think it's way too much variance, especially with the ghost runner and the extras. But my 6 pushes this year have all come because I took a team either +1 or -1 instead of taking the +1.5 or the -1.5, which led to a push there. But once again, I'd rather be sticking around even money or even plus money, instead of laying minus 135, minus 145 there. So
that's a good point. I know there's like a lot of handicappers too, where like they'll play minus 1.5 if they like a team, just because if they lose, they're only laying plus money, right? So they're not losing as much as they would if they were laying like minus 155, minus 160, right? So I do think that there's a lot of different strategies, and whatever works for you is the best thing that works for that person. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, awesome. So before we got on, I was talking about my Marlins future to win the NL East, and I said AK gives me a lot of shit about it. Every day he tells me, dude, they're not going to win the NL East. There's no chance. You might as well throw it away right now. And BP, you said you actually think that there's value on that now.
Okay, I misheard you. You said NL East. I would be shocked if they won the NL East. I'll be honest with you.
I got it 46-1. You know what I mean? It's
okay, I mean, well, here's the thing. Okay, you could throw the Nationals out, right? And the Phillies are having a down year, and my goodness, the New York Mets. I mean, this team right now is like the biggest tragedy since Old Yeller, for crying out loud. I mean, I don't understand what's going on with this group. I mean, to lose 3 consecutive games when you're ahead by 3 runs. And then, AK, I think I saw on Twitter right before I logged in that you were on the other side tonight on the Pirates. A good call there, obviously with the tax bullpen. So, okay, so basically you're just competing, Jordan, with the Braves. I don't see Miami winning that personally, but where I have come to over the last week, because Miami had a really good week. Of course, it helped playing Oakland and Kansas City, right? But this National League, and I was on earlier in the week in Wager Talk TV on the Gold Sheet program with Eric Pauly, and we both kept coming back to the fact the National League is so depth shy. Mm-hmm. And I do feel a lot more strongly about Miami's ability to make the playoffs now than I did probably at this time even last week, because I just talked about the Mets, right? I mean, the Mets at this time last week were one of the favorites to make the playoffs in the National League. Right. Now, I don't know what the odds are right now. I haven't looked in the last 24 hours. But, and then it's like San Diego, who's still under 500. They're a favorite. So Miami, look, the one-run thing is pretty ridiculous, but they've got those wins in the bank, right? Yep. So, I mean, there's still 6 games over 500 even with the loss tonight. So I can see them making the playoffs, yes. I'd be kind of shocked if they won the NL East.
Yeah, the Braves are, they're definitely the head and shoulders, but my whole reasoning for playing this, and by the way, Miami now at most shops is like anywhere between plus 1,400, plus 2,000. So, I got great value on that at 46-1, right? Mm-hmm. But my whole thought process on it was, okay, last year Miami was they were tragic offensively, but they could pitch, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And now they get Luis Ariz, and you expect a jump from Jesus Sanchez, and anybody that follows baseball, we all expected Brian De La Cruz to be a lot better. We expected a jump from Brian De La Cruz. So if they can just sustain some sort of consistency offensively, I was like, man, they got the pitching. They can actually make a run. And now the Braves, we don't know when Max Fried's coming back. Spencer Strider, AK knows what my opinion on Spencer Strider. I don't think he's a starter. I think he's a reliever at best. He gets shelled by all these good teams every day. He's got high strikeout stuff, but he gets shelled all the time when he starts against good teams. And then you also their starting pitching is just it's a mess right now. They don't know what's going on. They got a lot of injuries. So I look at it, I'm like, man, I know it's tough. I know it's a long shot. It's obviously a long shot, but I do think that it's possible for the Marlins to win this division.
Yeah. Strider also has that mustache. It's tough to take him seriously with that, man. Come on now.
The problem I have with the Marlins too, and why I give Jordan so much shit about this, is because I just don't think over the course of a 162 game season, you can win 1-run games at a 90% clip or 85% clip. And I think we saw that tonight.
The Mariners
I just don't think you can do it.
The Mariners did though, AK.
A couple years ago, and they still didn't make the playoffs. Me and Bryan Power have talked about this many times.
Yeah.
But I think sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was going to say, you referenced the team, and yeah, AK referenced the conversation that we had, that I guess the Marlins this year, their blueprint is the Mariners of the last 2 years, because the Mariners also had a very good 1-run. That was the shocking thing. Everyone expected the Mariners to regress last year. They might have won one less game. I can't remember offhand. I don't have it right in front of me, but their 1-run record the last 2 years was preposterous. Yeah. Seattle. So you do have to be careful. And AKI get into the habit sometimes too. Oh, they can't keep winning all these 1-run games. Well, they're already in the bank, and so they're probably going to end the year with a very good record in 1-run games just because of what they've done already.
Yeah, and they have a solid bullpen too. I think their bullpen's pretty underrated. And let's be honest. If Sandy even becomes half of what he was last year, it makes their starting rotation that much better. Because Yuri's, I mean, very starting off very great, right? Edward Cabrera, if that guy could cut down his walks, he's probably got Cy Young stuff. And then Braxton Garrett and Rogers, obviously you got to get healthy. And Jesus Luzardo, AK knows I have a fascination with Jesus Luzardo. I love that guy. I think he's got elite stuff. He just got to learn how to pitch. And we see it. We see signs of it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, all right, if the Marlins put everything together, they're a great team. Now, I know that's a lot to say, but Skip Schumacher's been doing a great job as a manager. And I don't know what the odds are for him to win NL Manager of the Year, but might want to sprinkle some on him to win NL Manager of the Year, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would all agree that it is a 2-horse race. I mean, at the odds you got, it is a great value bet because you're basically just playing against one team. I would be shocked if, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't count the Mets out just yet. We made fun of them earlier, but the odds maker.
Count them out, Brian.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the odds makers still like them a little bit. They're not going to count them out, and we know what they were supposed to do coming into the year. So, I don't know. I mean, I'll say this: my opinion of the Marlins has gone up over the last 7 days, even though the teams they beat were the 2 worst teams in baseball.
I'll take it. I'll take that. Your opinion is of them going up. It's better than AK's opinion, who just shits on them every day. All right, let's talk about some games for tomorrow on Saturday's slate. What we like to do, if you're new to the show, we go around the table, kind of just give our opinions on these games. I'm notorious for not having looked at these games. I just like to dive in and go off, and look at these games while we talk about them, and that allows me to have no opinion and no bias, and I kind of, I do my best work this way. 3 straight weeks, AK, I haven't had a loser, you know what I mean? So let's see how it goes again.
I think I'm 3-1 on the show over the last 3 weeks. I'm gonna try to keep it going as well.
Yeah, so let's keep it rolling. So we're gonna start out with the Reds versus Cardinals. Cardinals won today 7-4. The bullpen almost tried to blow a big lead again. We're going to get Abbott on the mound in his second start. He's 1-0 on the year with a 0 ERA, 0.83 whip. And he'll be facing Miles Michaelis, KBO legend, who's 4-2 on the year, 3.74 ERA, 1.34 whip. What is your guys' immediate thoughts on this game here?
Well, my immediate thoughts were, if I was looking to hop in on the Reds here, I definitely wanted Blake Lively to go, a long ways tonight because Graham Ashcraft injury night before last, the Reds bullpen was taxed.
That's your favorite pitcher, AK.
Yeah, I'm as Bryan Power is more hot on the Marlins now. I've definitely cooled on Ashcraft. He can't throw but one pitch right now. But anyway, I'll take that one. But anyways, so he did that. So the Reds bullpen is ready to go tomorrow. The Reds, man, they've got 3 rookies that are all just swinging the bat. Ellie De La Cruz came up. He hit for the cycle. It only took him 2 days to already do that. So that was pretty cool to see. Matt McClain, Spencer Steer swinging the bat. And, let's not forget, they've got a former Rookie of the Year in Jonathan India. So that lineup is hitting the ball pretty well. And here we go again with the Cardinals. And if you follow the show at all, I've been stung by the Cardinals a few times this year. But they're 13-16 at home. And really the biggest thing, if you've been watching the Cardinals series, which I know me and you have closely, Jordan, they've just really started struggling to hit the ball runners in scoring position. Andrew Abbott is a guy from right down the road from me here in Central Virginia. I followed his career, at the University of Virginia, and he looked great in his first start. Miles kind of had a rough start in April, but he got better in May, and it would be hard for me to lay 170 with the Cardinals here. That's for sure.
Brian, what do you think?
Yeah. So here's the thing with is it Mikolas or Michaelis? I always get that confused.
I don't know. We need Trigger. Trigger knows.
Well, Mikolas feels
Trigger
more
would know.
Yeah. But anyway, look, he's pitched great, but he got away with giving up 10 hits his last outing, right? And he only gave up 2 runs. That's pretty lucky. It's interesting. He has not gotten a lot of run support. You're talking about his last 3 starts. Every one of them has ended 2-1. 2 of them wins. The last one a loss. And Abbott, I'd actually talked to AK. He started Monday, and what a debut it was against Milwaukee. Helped the Reds avoid the sweep. Look, you talk about long shots to win a division. Some are saying that I'm on the Cincinnati Reds now to win the NL Central. So
I know AK likes it.
Yeah. So some say that may be a joint ticket. So I would, if I'm looking to play this game, I would back the Reds for sure.
See,
that's the way I was looking at it, Brian. You get the Reds plus 1.5. At least when I looked about an hour ago, it's about minus 130 across most sports books, depending on where you're shopping at.
it's tough for me to get there with the Reds only because the simple fact that in the last what was it 30 days, the St. Louis Cardinals have the second highest WRC plus against left-handed pitching. I mean, they crush lefties, man. And Jordan Walker's come back up, and he's looked like a new man. And they've had a couple tough beats in the last week. Miles Mikolas, 1.67 ERA since May 20th, 3.86 xFIP. So that even counts in the 10 hit game. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, the Reds 141 WRC plus versus right-handed pitching on the road since May 20th. So I mean, they've been raking righties on the road, and this doesn't even count for the fact that they got Ellie De La Cruz up now. I think this is a tough game side-wise, but I do kind of look at the over here, and I'm kind of like it because the Cardinals bullpen not good. Neither is the Reds bullpen for that matter. Both bullpens, middle of the pack. They both have 3.87 ERA for their bullpen. But I look at this total, and I think that there may be some value on the total here. I think it's 8.5 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
When you look at Miles' splits too, he's actually pitched a lot better on the road this year than he has at home, which is kind of surprising. Opponents are hitting better at home on him. He's got a 4.54 ERA at home compared to 3.0 on the road. I almost could get there on the Reds plus 1.5, but that's the way I'd look at this game.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if I could play the Reds even at 1.5, but it's not a terrible bet. I would definitely play Cardinals or the over. I think the over is probably my favorite bet of this game if I were to get to the window with any of them.
Plenty of runs tonight.
Yeah, and the Cardinals, like, they go through these like weak stretches where like they just smack the ball, dude, and they score like 10 runs a game, and then they go cold for a week.
And I mean, you talk about underperforming teams. The Cardinals are near the top of the list this year. Obviously, they should have a lot more wins. They have a positive run differential, and they're what? They're 10 games under 500 with a positive run differential. I mean, it's a +4 only, but still, I mean, that's a team that should be winning more games. The NL Central really up for grabs. Yeah. Obviously, more so than any other division.
100% agree. What is the odds right now for? Did you guys get that ticket on the Reds? Covers is saying the Reds 18-1 right now. St. Louis 4-1.
We got it at 19-1.
You got a little bit of value. DraftKings 20-1 right now. Don't tell me you got it at
DraftKings. 19-1 when we got it. Yep.
Oh, you got bad value. You better refund that bet and get a new one.
I just think the NL Central. I just the Pirates of Velasquez now he's gone for the season. I was on the Pirates tonight mostly because of a perfect spot. Pirates were off yesterday. Pirates had only lost one game all season with the rest advantage. Mets are just taxed, man, and we always talk about can a baseball team or a basketball team or football team lose a game twice? Absolutely. And the Mets kind of blew it against the Braves when they were up yesterday. And I just thought it was the perfect spot to come with the Pirates against the tax Mets bullpen as well. But I'm not a believer in the Pirates to win the NL Central at all. And I'm still not as high on the Brewers. The Orioles play yesterday that I know Brian was also on. I'm not a believer in the Brewers.
All three of us were on that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
That's a good one.
Full transparency. I didn't watch the last 3 innings.
even though I told you, I was like, bro, they're gonna come back and win. They're starting to hit the ball hard, and of course they did. All right, let's move on to our next game. We got the Padres versus the Rockies. Rockies are AK's favorite team. They're sending the Padres are sending Weathers to the mound. Ryan Weathers, guy's a mess. 1-4 record, 5 ERA, 1.53 WHIP. He'll be opposing Kyle Freeland, who shockingly has better home splits than road splits at Coors Field. He's 4-7 with a 4.06 ERA, 1.24 WHIP. Right now, basically every book, Padres basically minus 140, and the Colorado Rockies plus 115. The total's at 12. And went over tonight. What do you guys think about this game here? We'll start with you, BP. You want to go first?
Yeah. This is a game that I'm probably not going to play. At least, when I was first looking at it before the show, San Diego reversed some trends, right? Is that game now? Is that game gone final yet, or are we still?
Yeah, 10-3.
Okay.
Hold on. What was the final score? It was 8-6.
9-6.
9-6.
Yeah, San Diego grabbed the big early lead and held on. I realized that San Diego has a poor history at Coors Field. I realized that, today, now it's the first time they've won back-to-back games this month, right? Yep. So there were a lot of trends against them today. I thought it was a good spot, though, because they were coming off an off day, even though it was a big price on them. Austin Gomber, it was criminal that this guy had a 3-0 team start record his last 3 starts with his numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just getting run support. I mean, he had no business, the Rockies had no business winning with his pitching performances. But you mentioned Weathers being a mess, Jordan. The numbers are real bad recently for him. Freeland's been okay at Coors, which matters because, but I don't really want to back the Rockies here, and I don't really want to bet the Padres at this price either. So I'm almost certainly going to stay away from this game unless I have some epiphany overnight or see something in the morning.
Some epiphany. I like it. AK, your favorite team, the Colorado Rockies. I know you're probably dying to lay this on the Rockies, dude.
Well, as you said, Jordan, if anyone follows this show or follows me at all, I've been higher on the Rockies probably the most this season. They've treated me well. I think I went back and looked earlier before the show. 5-3 back in the Rockies this year. So take the good with the bad there. They were pretty hot coming in that series against another red hot team who you could say is one of my favorite teams in the league right now, the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then, man, they came back to earth. They get swept by them. And they've lost 9 out of 11 now after tonight. Few issues with them. If you follow the Rockies as close as I do, the CJ Cron injury actually probably hurt them more than people want to say. Charlie Blackmon, they haven't made him available every day. I don't think the Chris Bryant injury is as big as maybe it would have been 5 years ago. So I'll kick this back over to you guys because I'll circle back to this later on.
Well, I'm kind of with BP. It's tough to get on either side here because Ryan Weathers has been so bad, and while Freeland is probably definitely the advantage starting pitcher, I mean, only getting plus 115 against a lineup like the Padres, and the Padres actually hit left-handed pitching a lot better than they hit right-handed pitching lately. My biggest thing with the Padres and backing them, AK, and we talk about this all the time, is like they score a ton of runs and then they score like 1 the next day. They score a ton of runs.
They struggle to put it together back-to-back days. As BP alluded, first time they won back-to-back games all month.
And to go even further into that, Brian, they haven't won 3 games in a row all year.
Well, so all of a sudden, I think AK might be rubbing his hands together because guess what? They've won 2 in a row going in tomorrow.
So do we think they can win 3 in a row for the first time? I mean, this is a team that should, right?
Yes. They're another underperforming team. Now the NL West is shaping up to be pretty difficult. I think, in all due respect, AK, I think Colorado is the one team that I would not feel too comfortable expecting to make the playoffs. But like the Giants are no pushover either, and the D-backs are obviously really good, and of course the Dodgers are the benchmark. So the Padres kind of have a long road to hoe if they want to get back in playoff. I know the odds makers believe in them still, but they're still below 500. Although they do have a positive run differential, so there should be some positive regression on the horizon for the team from San Diego.
I will say, as everyone knows, is how I'm on the Diamondbacks and how high we were on the Diamondbacks coming into the year. It definitely felt a little weird going against them. I played the Nationals the other night, and boy, I hated my decision by about the 7th inning. So I'm not in a rush to get in front of that Diamondbacks team at all right now.
Yeah, they're pitching well. They're swinging the sticks well. Only problem with the Diamondbacks is their bullpen, man. I just don't trust it at all. Back into that, it's just.
Well,
right now
you
they're
can
just
say that
trying to
about
get up, so
there's
Go
a
ahead,
lot of
BP,
good teams
sorry.
you can say that about.
Yeah, I mean that's true, and the easiest thing to fix come trade deadline is definitely the bullpen because you can get guys for less prospects and cheaper value. Shout out to Mike Elias who traded Jorge Lopez for Yenny Urquidy, and that's looking like an absolute fucking steal now. Not only did he only get Yenny Urquidy, he got some other pieces for Jorge Lopez, looking like a steal. But yeah, I think the bullpen's the easiest thing to fix, but I mean, you look at the Diamondbacks, it's like they've blown so many games in their bullpen. Like they should have a way better record. I mean, they blew games against the Nationals when they played in Arizona. Not this last time, but when they played in Arizona, blew a couple games against them. I don't know. This game for me is tough to get on. Like I wish the Rockies were like more like plus 140 at plus 115, 120. I just don't think there's a ton of value there. In my opinion, I honestly I might play the over though. Over 12, even though it's a high total. This is this might be an over game. Another one. No, we don't like the over.
Yeah. I'm not a big I don't play a ton of totals, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's even at Coors. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Although those pitchers, I mean, like we mentioned, Weathers is struggling. So in that environment, yeah, sure. You don't want to play an under in Coors, I guess.
I mean, the last few games have been. We talked about this. I always send AK and my buddy Irv the ballpark factors for the day, and like every day, Coors Field the last week is like plus 23% runs, and every day they go under, except for like 2 games. It is what it is. All right, let's move on to our next game. We got the Rays versus the Rangers. This is the series of the week. 2 best teams in baseball right now. I do think that some Rangers regression was on the way. Kind of saw it a little bit today, but I think we got a great matchup tomorrow. We got Nathan Eovaldi on the mound, 8-2 record, 2.24 ERA, 0.93 WHIP. He'll be opposing Taj Bradley, who's 4-2 with a 3.60 ERA, 1.17 WHIP. This is basically a pick 'em everywhere right now. I'm seeing. You guys see anything else? I know Circa.
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing, Jordan.
What's the total?
And Jordan, to your point about the Rangers, the reason why that offense has been so good this year, we talk about so many teams, the Blue Jays, the Cardinals, teams that struggle to hit the ball with runners in scoring position. The Rangers have been doing the exact opposite. They've been hitting the ball with runners in scoring position, batting around 335 with runners in scoring position, which is by far the best in the MLB.
That might be a record.
The Rays do the same. If anyone listened to our spaces last Saturday, me and Bryan were talking about the Rangers and their offense, and we just said they're not on pace to be the best offense this year. They're on pace to be the best offense ever, maybe. So naturally, you probably thought you had some regression coming, but hitting 335 with runners in scoring position is fantastic. To give you an idea, the Rays are 4th in that category, almost 50 points behind them, though. So naturally, some regression was coming. It felt like maybe at the end of that Cardinals series, we saw a little bit of that as well. But man, I've picked my spots pretty well this year with the Rangers. Have not done the same fate in the Rays. So definitely not really looking forward to get in front of the Rays here. But if I was playing this game, I actually may look to play Texas.
Well, I mean, Eovaldi's been ridiculous. You go over his last 7 starts alone, you're talking about a 0.68 ERA and a 0.68 WHIP. That is, not only does he have 2 complete games in that stretch, he's 1 out away from a 3rd complete game in that stretch. How often do you see that? 2023?
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, that's great. And last time out, he went 6 innings, gave up a hit. His start before that, 5 scoreless innings. So, I mean, he's only had over his last 1, 2, 4, 7, over his last 7, he's only had 1 start where he gave up more than a run.
Yep, against Atlanta.
Yeah. And even that was a quality start.
Yep.
3 runs allowed, 2 homers. So, and they lost that game actually to Spencer Strider and his mustache.
Man, because Taj Bradley, like his underlying numbers, like 2.89 xFIP, even though he has a 3.6 ERA. His Sierra 2.91. So I mean, this is a guy that you look at the advanced metrics, and we're talking about an elite pitcher. If you have an under 3 Sierra, that's incredible. So I'm kind of looking at this, and I'm like -110. I get the Rays, who don't lose at home. This is easy for me. Like, I got to take the Rays.
30-6 at home, Jordan. Yeah. To your point,
I have already bet this as the Rays -110 as a pick'em. This might be on my best bets list because of that. I do think that because 335 with runners in scoring position. I'm sorry, there's regression, dude. That's insane, right? And the Rays at home they're an animal. My biggest obstacle with the the Rays, is that for some reason this year, it's like every year their bullpen is nails. And now their bullpen is like, we don't know what we're going to get once we get into the bullpen.
Well, and that's the thing with both teams, right?
Yeah,
like I mentioned earlier, we're talking about good teams. Like both these teams have the big question marks, the bullpen. I agree that the Rangers are not going to be able to average 6.3 runs per game over the course of a full season. But I think when you look at the Rangers moving forward, I think what we've seen from the Rays maybe over the last month, where it's not necessarily a regression, but a plateau, is like what's in store. Texas, like you can't deny Texas's run differential. I mean, this is going to end. They're going to end up in the playoffs. I mean, a team with a run differential like that, they are going to the postseason. Yes, they're not going to be able to continue to hit 335 with the runners in scoring position or score over 6 runs a game for 162 games. But with the bullpen, that's a question mark. It's kind of like Tampa Bay, where you just cannot continue to win at the clip that we saw from the Rays in April or the Rangers in May. So it's a plateau more than regression.
Agreed. AK?
Something I was just looking up here. Texas 15-6 off of a loss this season. So, when you follow that trend there, who does the game mean more to? Texas team that kind of fell off there at the end of the Cardinals series, got beat tonight pretty handily. And you look at Taj Bradley splits, man. I know it's a small sample size, 3 games pitched away, 3 games pitched at home, but he has pitched a lot worse at home than he has on the road this year.
Who is he?
Small sample size, but something to keep in mind. He's pitched at home against the Blue Jays. He's pitched at home against the Boston Red Sox and the Houston Astros.
3 quality offenses.
And I flashed the 4 because it's 4 runs only the last 2 games of the Rangers. So maybe there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe they're due.
Jordan actually texted me. I guess it was the other night when they lost 1-0 to the Cardinals. He said, "Man, is it happening? Are the Rangers coming back to life?" So I don't know. And I think tomorrow will tell the tale.
Yep. I do like the Rays tomorrow, -110. I think I had to pick them at home. And you're 30-6 at home, like, whew. I think you're just paying if you're backing the Rangers here. I think you're absolutely paying a Eovaldi tax, which is crazy to say because he's been so good. You know what I mean? Like you're literally paying because he's starting the game.
And Jordan, you can find that best odds available right now, -102 on a pretty popular sports book right now.
Who, FanDuel?
Yep.
Yeah, they always got soft lines. That's why. If Circa's -110 and FanDuel is -102, you tell me what the better line is.
Yeah. And we're not being paid anybody. We're just reporting the facts.
Yeah. Good stuff. Actually, Circa's -105 each way because they don't have a high hold percentage.
Uh-uh.
I like it. All right, fellas, let's get some best bets in here.
Let's go, y'all.
Brian is the guest. We'll let you go first. Your best bet or bets for tomorrow.
Well, you're not going to like this one, Jordan, because my best bet for the show is the Chicago White Sox. All right, the Miami Marlins had their win streak snap last night. You look at Kopech here against Alcantara is the starting pitching matchup. Alcantara has been the weak link. He's been the go-against guy in this Marlins rotation, which is crazy. I actually tweeted
agree.
something earlier today where the ERA leaders from last season have all regressed horrifically this year. So Alcantara's been a go-against. And Kopech, if I can bring up his numbers here, they've just been otherworldly of late. I think he's got like a .78 whip his last 3 starts. The White Sox are a team that may be starting to make a move here in an AL Central that is wide open. They've won every day in June. That's a little bit, they didn't lose one game. It was a doubleheader, so that's kind of a, something that they'd like to say about themselves. They've won every day, but they lost once, but still, they're in good form right now. You talk about handicapping strategies when a team has a winning streak a fairly lengthy win streak broken. I kind of like to look to fade them the game after. We saw that with Texas today, right? Texas had a long win streak snapped in the finale against St. Louis, like AK mentioned, and then they lose today. So the Chicago White Sox are going to be my best bet against the Miami Marlins on Saturday.
All right. AK, what do you got for us?
Well, guys, if this was Christmas morning, you guys have kind of stole the surprise. But I'm going to head back out to Coors Field. We touched on it earlier. I've seen they had this Padres team figured out this week. I went against them Tuesday with Logan Gilbert on the mound for the Mariners. They win. Mariners win. But I came right back with the Padres the next day. They cruised a pretty easy win, the second day. I've had them pretty well figured out this week. I feel like they struggled to put it together back-to-back nights, but they certainly did tonight. So I'm going to kind of fade that. If anyone knows how to pitch at Coors Field, it's Kyle Freeland. He has it figured out there. Still, after the Padres win tonight, still only 12-17 off of a win. So Kyle Freeland last time out only gave up 4 hits, 2 runs. And you guys kind of touched on Ryan Weathers, 5.09 ERA, 1.54 WHIP. And the Rockies have owned the Padres at home the last 3 years. It's a well-known fact. So best bet for 8K tonight, Rockies plus 1.5. I found that at minus 120.
Nice. I like it. All right, my best bet. I'm going to the White Sox Marlins game, but I'm not taking a side. I'm going to the total. I'm going under 8.5 runs. Marlins have an 88 WRC plus and minus 10.3 weighted runs against average versus right-handed pitching on the road this year. Chicago White Sox 91 WRC plus, negative 11.6 weighted runs against versus right-handed pitching at home. In the last week, Chicago White Sox during their good streak only allowed more than 2 runs twice. I know Kopech's on the mound. I know Sandy's on the mound. Both high ERA guys, but I like the under here. I don't think there's going to be a ton of runs scored, so I like that under 8.5. And then I'm also going to take the Rays minus 110 out of Pick'em, or minus 105, whatever the best, minus 102 at FanDuel. Go smash that. Get that soft lineup. I like the Rays tomorrow. Love it. So with that being said, Brian, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate you. Do you want to tell everybody how to get to your content?
Yeah, wagertalk.com is the website. Bryan Power is the name. Once again, you can find me on Twitter, Bryan Power _wins. We're doing pretty well in June. It's a nice start with the 3-0 sweep tonight, obviously. Just makes it, what do we got? We've got 9 days in the books now. We've won 7 of them this month.
Hey,
we do a lot of sports, not just baseball. Love a little soccer, a little UFC for Saturday. Yeah.
Paul, what do you like for UFC? Don't tell me a Nunez Ige parlay or something. Well, give us a little teaser.
If I wink, maybe you're onto something. There you go.
Okay, all right. I'm not a UFC handicapper by any means, but I like watching it.
Yeah. Guys, make sure you follow Taproom Sports on Twitter as well.
Yes, Taproom _sports. You can follow AK at AKSports90. You can follow myself at Jordan Rules TSP. I'll be back Sunday night with Swerve and Irvin and Big Ball and Ben Larson. We appreciate y'all. Go follow Brian. My guy knows his stuff. He's a good follow, man. Good knowledge. We appreciate y'all. Have a beautiful, beautiful Saturday, and let's get this money.